Hello, wishing you a good day. So this is your requested model, which is of basic marketing communication. Now you may be wondering like why we are focusing on this basic marketing communication instead of this digital technologies. Now the world is moving towards digital technologies. We talk about digital marketing, we talk about search engine optimization, we talked about digitization, digital transformation and everything. Now it is a known fact that like once we conduct these lessons and all that, I have seen like in ArcTube we have seen our audience or the potential audience lacks understanding of basic concepts of marketing communication as well as basic concepts of marketing communication. So in that case, we thought of telling you all or having we thought of it is very much important to have a course which is focusing on basics of marketing communications. Why we thought like that? The first one is like it's about you must know the roots. Now it is not that like you might be saying, okay, I know the digital marketing, but you must know the roots, in the sense like you must know the basics, where it comes from. Then what is the other thing? It's about you need to understand this digital marketing or digital transformation or digital marketing communications are built on these foundations of basic marketing communication. If you don't know the foundations, it's very hard for you, right? You need to have a good foundation. Now, I'm not boasting about myself, but I am here today as a marketer, professional marketer, as a senior lecturer as well. Why? Because I know the foundations well. And it is with very much honor for my teachers because they have taught me the foundation. So it's my responsibility, or maybe the ArcTube's responsibility, to tell you what is meant by basics of marketing. Then what is the other one is, it's about long-term success. Now you may be thinking like why it is long-term success once you know the basics of marketing. So that means like you can turn around inside and out, because if you know the basics, you know how to play the ball, right? So how to do the kick, so you how to change the technique, you need to know the basics of marketing. If someone says like okay, I know how to advertise on Facebook, so I know digital marketing, I really don't know. That's not digital marketing, right? Then someone might say like, I know how to advertise on Google and YouTube and everything, so he knows digital marketing. No, it's not that. It's a journey again. So in order to go beyond that journey, you need these basics. Then other one is what? It's about what? Move confidently towards digital. It's about what? So we build on these fundamentals. So we talk about the digital perspective of these basic marketing communication principles, so that you will be able to move, or you will be able to move the first step confidently towards digital marketing if you know these basic concepts. Always keep in mind, you need to know basics. Okay, you need to know basics. Otherwise, if you don't know basics, it's very hard for you, right? Other one is what? It's about sustainability and adaptability. So what do you mean by sustainability? Now you may be thinking like, okay, I know about digital marketing a bit, so I can sustain. No, the people whom is going to sustain, it's about people who know the basics. People who know the basics well, they know how to adjust. So you know about that. So we'll be talking about that thing in the lessons as well. The new source of competitive advantage, it's not about the USPs of ESPs. So it's about what? You need USPs and ESPs as well, but it's about what? The adaptability. In order for you to have that flexibility in your marketing communication or anything in your life, so you need to know the basics. So you will be able to sustain your competitive advantage by the adaptability, by knowing this what? Basics of marketing communication. So I'll tell you something about the course framework or the basics of marketing communication course composition, like just the flow. Then we'll be having about 6 lessons for this course. So today and the coming weeks, you will be able to get some more videos when it comes to lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. So we'll be having altogether 6 lessons, and at the end of each lesson you'll be having sum up questions that will carry a summary of what we have learned. You have to answer that questions at the latter part of the presentations. Then there will be a hurdle question for you. So we'll be providing to you the structure to answer that question. So that hurdle question is for you to get eligible to move towards the next lesson. So I'm advising you, if you are unable to answer that hurdle question with that structure which we are providing, so that means like you are not competent with basic marketing communications to go ahead with the lesson 2. So make it a point that you are going to get through the sum up questions as well as the hurdle questions in order to go for the next level. If you are not answering the hurdle question first and going just to the lesson 2, so you are not qualified to go there. So you can just listen to lesson 2 but with no meaning, so you don't have the proper understanding of that lesson. So make it a point to answer the hurdle question, and there's a two-way communication for the hurdle question, because you can write the hurdle question to us and you can email it to us, then we can correct it for you and give you the answers for that thing. So then and there, so we'll mark your the answers if you have about 50% or 50% mark, so that you are going to go through to the lesson 2. So that's how this course format and the structure is being structured in that way. So under the lesson 1, we'll be talking about developing sustainable collaborative cross-functional relationship inside an organization. Now once we talk about this collaborative cross-functional relationships, of course, now you know about organizations, will go deep down in that in lesson 1. So we'll be talking about sustainability, how we are going to manage people, how we are going to learn about internal communication tools there. We are going to learn about the stakeholders there. So once we go into lesson number 1, we'll be talking about those things, right? So that's one thing. When it comes to lesson 1, we'll be talking about mainly developing sustainable collaborative cross-functional relationships. Then under lesson 2, I mean in the next week or the other week, we'll be talking about managing organization resources to deliver effective marketing solutions. Now we have organization resources, right? So we have skills and capabilities. So we'll be having a chance to manage resources and deliver optimum results when it comes to marketing communications. We'll be talking about 4 types of resources. We'll be talking about how to manage those resources and how to utilize these resources. You'll be having about budgeting methods. Likewise, we'll be talking about those things as well under lesson 2. Then that's about lesson 2, and when it comes to lesson 3, it's about creating effective marketing communications. Now, creating effective marketing communications, so you need to plan your marketing communications effectively. So you know about resources. Now it's about effective marketing communication, how we're going to create effective marketing communication. So we'll be talking about ad agencies, how we're going to manage an ad agency with regard to creative briefs. We'll be talking about the creative briefs. Then we'll be talking about what are the problems that you'll be having when you are having the ad agency management, and you'll be having what are the things that you need to know about an ad agency, the basics of ad agency, the structure of the ad agency. Likewise, we'll be talking about those things under lesson 3 as well. Then once we go into lesson number 4, that's about value proposition, and it's about value proposition. It's about managing product and brand. So product and brand management will be talked in there and discussed in there in detail. And so we'll be talking about the product levels, we'll be talking about these life cycles of product, and we'll be talking about the BCG metrics, Boston Consultancy Group, and we'll be talking about the brand management. So brands and branding we'll be talking about. Then we'll be talking about the models like brand prism, brand onion, then the acres model for brand and all that. We'll be talking about this lesson under value proposition when it comes to product and brand management. Then the lesson 5, it's about the promotional mix we are going to talk about. Now what do you mean by promotional mix? So we'll be talking about that thing in lesson number 5. So it's about what? Understanding the elements of the communication mix or the promotional mix. What do you mean by promotional mix? It's about what? advertising, sales promotions, public relations and sponsorships, person selling, direct marketing, and digital marketing. So I'm speaking it like a mantra because I have been used to teach this stuff almost now 10 years. So it's there in with me right now. But the most important thing is now we have about the promotional mix we are going to talk about here, but it is only one part of the 7 P's of marketing. That's product, price, place, promotion, physical evidence, people, processes, right? So we are going to talk about that one element, the promotions. This whole book, it's about promotions. So that single element gives you this much. So that means what? You need to know basics of marketing communication. Otherwise, how are we going to move, right? So that's about level lesson 5. So we'll be talking about promotional mix and the practical applications of those things. And the last lesson is about lesson 6. The ultimate objective of giving the basics of this marketing communication to develop a communication plan. It's about developing integrated marketing communication plan. So we need to know first what do you mean by integrated marketing communication. So we'll be talking about that thing in a short while. And ultimate objective of this, or ultimate goal of this course, basics of marketing communication, to develop a integrated marketing communication plan. By keeping those things in mind, now let's move into what? The lesson number 1. What is lesson number 1? So let's turn the page around again. It's about what? Developing sustainable collaborative cross-functional relationships. We'll talk about that thing right now. So join us to this one. So let's move into lesson number 1 right now. Okay, now we are going to talk about this first lesson. What is the first lesson? It's about the internal marketing, building internal functional relationships. We are going to learn about collaborative relationship building. So we'll talk about that thing right now. We are going into the lesson right away. Now, once you hear the word internal marketing, what comes to your mind? It is something to do with what? It is something to do with inside the company. So it's about internal marketing. If it is external marketing, it's about something else. It's about inside, not inside the company, it's about outside the company. So now we are going to talk about internal marketing. Now you need to have internal marketing in your organization effectively in order to what? Do and be successful in what? External marketing communication. So that's easy stuff, right? So we are going into the first slides right now. Then we'll be having the learning outcomes, and after this lesson you will be able to identify cross-functional associations in the business entity. That means your organization, you will be knowing what are the cross-functional relationships you are going to have inside your organization, and you will be able to identify those things. And the second learning outcome under this lesson, it's about you will be able to know the significance of internal communication, and you will be able to know how important and how significant is internal communication, because internal communication is the lifeblood of the company. Because in order to take decisions effectively, you need to have this internal communication effectively. And the other one is what you'll be able to plan some suitable ways of using this internal communication tools as well. Now we'll be talking about some internal communication tools, and you will be having a good idea of how and when and what communication tool you'll be using in your organization to effectively practice the internal communication inside your organization. Then the last learning outcome under this lesson, it's about describe the relationships. You will be able to describe the relationship between cooperative working and meeting customer requirements. That means what? You will be having the cross-functional relationships, and you will be having good collaborative working inside the organization. So by having that thing, you will be able to address customer needs in an effective way by describing the relationship and understand the relationships. So those are the learning outcomes when it comes to this lesson. So we'll start with the first slide right now. Now the first one we are going to talk here, it's about the communication process. In the slide now you can see there's one boy who's shouting loud, or maybe singing a song very loud. So I'm going to talk about the communication process. I know it's a fact that I'm addressing you I'm addressing you right now. You may have also addressed someone else, right? You may have talked to your friends, and you may have addressed the gathering, and you may have listened to some seminars, webinars, and all that thing. But in this every aspect, there's a communication model which operates. So you know about that thing. I mean, like unknowingly, we all have been taken in a part of this communication model or communication process. Now, for an example, let's say now I am delivering you this lecture through a digital platform, which is YouTube, and through our channel that's about ArcTube. Then you are going to listen to that thing and you are going to send us feedback. So the communication process is there where there are particular parties are involved, and there are particular things which are involved. So I'll be talking about the communication process right now. So this is about the very basic communication process, but you need to know this communication process, otherwise you really don't know what you're doing. Okay, let's look into this communication process right now. So as you can see in the slide, in order to have a communication process, now let's say for example, I'm the communicator, so there have to be a sender, right? Now when it comes to sender, I am the sender right now in this lecture delivery. So I have my idea. So I have told you in the beginning, before starting the lecture or before starting the module, I have told you about what, okay, these are the ideas, these are the information, and these are the desired action. So what is about the idea? It's about giving a basic communication or basics of marketing communications, an idea of that thing. The information, it's about what, okay, I'll be talking about how to manage resources, and I'll be talking about how to ultimately I'll be telling you how to develop an integrated marketing communication plan. So then the desired action is what? So I have told you, like in the end of every lesson, I'll be asking you some hurdle questions, and if you are unable to answer that hurdle question, and if you're unable to get through about 50 marks of that thing, so you are not going to go through. So that's about desired action. So you need to do that thing. So as a sender, I'm having these things. Then as a sender, whom I'm going to send this message? To a receiver. That's you, our subscribers, our audience, our viewers, our followers, through every platform, maybe LinkedIn, maybe Facebook, maybe Instagram, maybe Twitter, maybe the blogs you have. So every platform we are having receivers, so they will be interpreting the message of that thing. Okay, this lecturer is saying something through ArcTube, this is what we need to do. So that's about the receiver. Now sender is there, receiver is there. So what do you need again? You need a medium to send this message across. So what is the medium? So I'm going to use YouTube or online media as the medium to communicate to the receiver. So that's the medium, not rocket science, right? So I'm taking me as an example, this incident as an example, and I'm explaining you these theories. That's the beauty of basics, knowing basics, because you'll be able to adapt and convert any situation to these practical applications of that model. So medium is what? It's about online platforms or YouTube right now. Right now it's YouTube, right? So then sender sends message through the medium, and the receiver is going to receive that message. Then what happens? Sender sends a coded message. What do you mean by coded message? Now it is a known fact that I am recording this video, right? Then what we are going to do? Okay, we are going to encrypt this message, we are going to edit this thing, we are going to add substitutes sometimes, we are going to add subtitles sometimes, we are going to add pictures sometimes, then we are going to add some emojis, we are going to add some bubbles sometimes. So in that case, what happens? We are coding the message that the receiver will be able to understand that thing in a proper way. So that will be easy for him to understand. So we'll be coding the message. And then what happens? So through the channel, we are coding the message. Okay, in order to upload it to the YouTube, you need to have that channel and you need to code that in that proper way. Then what happens? Receiver through online or using your internet. So you are logging in there, you have subscribed to our channel and you are decoding this message. This digital message, you are going to decode that thing. So coded message is there, channel is there, and receiver decodes the message. Then what happens? When I'm coding the message, what happens? Tell me, what happens when I'm coding the message? Now, when I'm coding the message, now I'm in a studio right now and I am having some distortions, like, okay, I'm in front of the camera right now. Will I make any mistakes right now? Okay, and all that. So I have these doubts and I am having some disturbances here and there. Is that the correct way to code this message? So likewise, I'll be having what? This distortion. Then what happens? Same thing happens with the receiver. How this happens? So receiver will be having his perception and he'll be able to grab what? Some of the given message, because I am very different to you. I do have my USB and you do have USBs and ESPs. So in the way you understand, you'll understand my message with that distortion element which is going into the receiver end as well. So that's about what? Distortion at the sender's level as well as what? Distortion at the receiver's level. Then what else we are going to talk about here? Right. What is this arrow? Now there's an arrow which is going from receiver to sender. What is that? Feedback. Now, what is this feedback? Okay, I'm going to get what emails. Okay, Chamara, it's like this. We love Active. You are doing a great job, and we are going to. I'm going to receive a comment. Oh my God, Active guys, you are doing fine. Great job. Right? So we are going to get feedback, right? The sender, the Active is going to get a feedback from there. Then what happens? According to feedback, will be what? Fine-tuning our what? Content and giving you what you want. What you want with in a meaningful way, which it will be useful for you. Now let's look at this one. Oh my God, what do you see in here? It's about a loudspeaker, right? Now why I have put a loudspeaker? Is it a mistake? Is it a mistake that I have put a loudspeaker here? Is it? I don't think so. Now, it's about what I'm going to talk about. It's about noise. What do you mean by this noise? Now, for an example, let's say I'm going to send my message to you through YouTube. So in that case, the noise is what? The outside. Now, I'm going to when I'm recording this one, I hear I hear a lot of noises outside, in the sense like dog is barking somewhere and some vehicles are traveling, but these days the vehicles are not that much there because of this COVID, the lockdown situation, and so that's the noise. So that disturbs me in giving you the lecture in a proper way sometimes, but I'm able to concentrate right now, no problem. The noise levels are very minimal. Then I can hear that AC machine is working, so that's again a noise. Then it's about receiver. So how the receiver gets the noise. Now you are not going to listen to my AC machine here, right? And you are not going to hear that my dog is barking, right? So in that case, what is the noise factor that you are going to encounter? So that's about maybe your own AC and your own dog, and maybe maybe inside YouTube you may be popped up some messages with, okay, go ahead and look at that, don't follow these schools, but look at that and all that. That will become, so that's about what? The same thing which has nice. So you will be popped up with some funny clips that you will be not focusing on the knowledge and going and clicking on that funny clip, where the funny clip is will be able to make you laugh but not the knowledge sometimes. So you need to balance those things as well. Okay, that's what you mean by the noise. So that's how I have explained the communication process. I have explained the communication process via the current scenario, right? So that has been developed by Scrum Philip Kotler. That's 2008. I have adapted that from that one, Scrum's model. It was cited in Philip Kotler's 2008 some book. So I have got that module for you. Then I'll talk to you about something when it comes to business environment. Now we talked about in the practical environment, now in a YouTube channel, how we are going to deliver the lectures and how the communication process operates. So when it comes to this business communication, like external advertising or something like that, let's say there's a TV advertisement. Now the organization is a sender for that thing. The relevant organization will be developing an advertisement TV commercial to raise awareness of customers with regard to their products. So the sender will be sending their ideas, information and desired action. So you can remember, like I'll get you an example of this Marmite. They have came up with this mixology thing recently, like 1 year back. Then they have sent the ideas and information and desired action, like the Marmite can be mixed with anything. So that this, the medium was TV, radio, press and online platforms as well. The channel is there. Then the receiver was receiving the message and they have interpreted the message like that, and there was a social wave that they have used this Marmite with different applications of bread, maybe anything, right? You can eat Marmite with noodles and everything was there in the advertisement, so that the receiver has identified those messages and they have sent the feedback through maybe TV commercials. They are advertising a hotline number, so they will be calling back and giving the ideas sometimes. The other one is they will be sending the comments in Facebook as well as all digital platforms like Twitter, LinkedIn and everything. So they will be sending feedbacks as well, and they will be sending direct mails. So that's about the feedback, the coded and decoded message. That's clear right now. And when it comes to noise, it's about the other advertisement. So Marmite, you'll be having other advertisements like Coca-Cola, you'll be having Sprite advertisement, you'll be having McDonald's, you'll be having KFC and everything, you'll be having advertisements in TV. So that's about the noise. So how are we going to retain your audience this one with this one? Now it is a non-fact, so we'll be talking about that thing in detail when it comes to lesson number 5 under communication mix. It's a non-fact, the selective distortion, like it's very hard for someone to remember an advertisement. So we'll be having selective, the exposure will be there and the selective retention is there, but the selective distortion is the very much a big thing, because we can't remember what we see, because we have been bombarded with very many advertisements, like thousands and thousands of advertisements we exposed for a day. So in that case, it's supposed for not for a day, like maybe 1 hour or 2 hours will be exposed to 1,000 advertisements. So this is how the communication process operates in now personal way, and we know about the business way. So that's about the communication framework. Is it rocket science? No. This is basics of marketing. Right. What is in the next slide? Oh my God. What is that? That's about stakeholders. Once you talk about the stakeholders, what comes to your mind? Stakeholder. There's a considerable amount of stake. So you're going to hold that thing. Who are these stakeholders? Any idea about that? So I'll give you some time, like in this video also, to think about who are stakeholders. In many of my classes, I tend to get this answer when I'm asking my students, okay, what do you mean by stakeholder? What comes to mind? They say interested parties on the company. They are the parties who are interested in the company. So then I teach them. It's not that, it is this way. Then when I'm asking on a later date, they say it's again the same thing. But make it a point, this is two-way communication, right? So now let's see who are stakeholders, right? So stakeholders are those individuals or groups who depend on the organization to fulfill their goals and on whom in turn the organization depends on. So it's about what? Stakeholders are those individuals or groups who depend on the organization. That's what my student says. Then they can't remember the word to fulfill their own goals and this one, on whom in turn the organization depends. They forget that thing. I really don't know what's the reason. In turn the organization depends. So that means it's about vice versa, right? Now organization is depending on stakeholders and the stakeholders are depending on the organization. It's two-way, right? So let's get back to the basics again. It's about who are stakeholders. Don't forget that again, right? So it's about what? Anyway, my students are good, right? I know. They are okay. They can remember that thing. So I'll be repeating that thing, this thing as a mantra. Then they will be able to get this one. So it's about what? Stakeholders are stakeholders are those individuals or groups who depend on the organization to fulfill their own goals and on whom in turn the organization depends. I'm reiterating these things several times. Why? You need to know the basics well, right? Then we need to know who are what? Who are types of stakeholders. Now, according to the categorization of Chartered Institute of Marketing, UK, the stakeholders can be categorized into three groups. So they are namely, you have internal stakeholders, you will be having connected stakeholders, and you will be having what? External stakeholders. Now, once you hear the word internal stakeholders, what comes to your mind? It is something to deal with what? Inside the organization. Then external stakeholders, it's about outside the organization. Now outside the organization, that means now internal stakeholders are inside the organization. External stakeholders are what? Outside the organization. So who are these connected stakeholders? So I have taught you about internal, I have taught you about external. There's some space there that's connected. Internal, external, connected. So that's it, right? Internal, external, connected. Internal, who are the internal stakeholders? Employees. One. Then connected stakeholders, suppliers, distributors. External stakeholders, government. Then what else? Media. Likewise, we'll be having this stakeholders categories, right? Okay, now let's see in detail stakeholder types and categories, right? Now, once you talk about internal stakeholders, we can take employees and managers. Maybe the board of directors you have, maybe the CEO, right? Then all operation level employees, junior managers, senior managers, maybe the general managers you have. So all these people fall into it's about internal stakeholders. Then you are going to talk about the connected stakeholders. So it's about the customers. Then the connected stakeholders are middle in the middle in the internal and in between internal and external stakeholders, right? The connected stakeholders, some are examples of customers, and you'll be having suppliers, you'll be having finances as well, like distributors will be their logistic partners, and everyone falls into these categories, maybe shareholders as well, right? So in that case, that's about the connected stakeholders we talk about, and you'll be having external stakeholders. Who are external stakeholders? Government, then media, you'll be having media, then the pressure groups you'll be having, maybe the NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and then you will be having some professional bodies like external stakeholders you can have, right? Now, what is the point of knowing these stakeholder types? What is the point of knowing these stakeholder types. Now, is that the same way that you are going to manage your employees and government? Is that the same way? No, it is not the same way. It is the same way that you are going to manage customers and pressure groups? Is it the same way? Yeah? No, it's not that. You are not going to manage them in the same way. That is why we need this categorization. If you do not do this categorization in a proper way, you won't be able to prioritize and manage the stakeholders in a proper way. So that's why we categorize these stakeholders like this. So you will be able to prioritize these stakeholders and manage these stakeholders, because these stakeholders have what? Different needs, different wants, and their interest areas are different. So in that case, you need to know these stakeholder types. Now you know about who are stakeholders. Don't forget that thing. Then now you know about the stakeholder types, right? Now, by knowing stakeholder types, you're not going to manage that thing, and there's something which is called 6-market framework comes in handy for you to manage these stakeholders, right? Now, this 6-market framework includes things like internal markets, then you will be having referral markets, then you will be having influence markets, then supply and alliance markets will be there, recruitment markets will be there, and in the middle you can see customer markets, customers, intermediaries, consumers, like that in the customer markets. Now, what do you mean by these internal markets? Now think it for yourself. What do you mean by these internal markets? It's about whom the managers, employees, volunteers, and other groups within the organization can have a profound impact on the way the strategy is executed. So marketers need to understand and manage them during each phase of planning process. So that means you need to manage these people separately as they are involved in the strategic planning process. Then what do you mean by the supply markets, supply and alliance markets? It's about what? These are also much important, and they are involved in strategic planning these days, and especially for the firms that rely heavily on network or ecosystems of suppliers and producers of complementary products and services are also much more involved in strategic planning these days. For an example, you will be having Toyota, Airbus, and other large firms manufacturing complex products have practiced partnership approach to developing strategy for many years. So that's about supply and alliance market. You need to manage them separately. Then we'll be talking about referral markets. Also, now once we talk about referral markets, it's about what? These can also have a significant investment in development of an organization's strategic marketing. In many fields, business often comes from third-party referrals. Now, for an example, lawyers and accountants will often cross-refer clients when their firm can't provide particular service. So that means what? Referrals. You need to have referrals as well when it comes to your organization. Now let's talk about the recruitment markets, right? Now, when it comes to recruitment markets, it's about what? It's about the channel and communities that supply potential and existing members of the staff. Also can affect the resources and capabilities in the organization, right? And hence in the strategy, right? Then let's repeat it again. It's about what? Employee markets. It's about the channel and communities that supply potential and existing member of staff, can affect resources and capabilities of the organization, hence its strategies. Relationship with recruitment agencies, professional bodies such as CIM and other even online discussion forums can have an impact over the organization is able to recruit people. I'm repeating it again. It's about employee markets you are going to have here. It's about whom, the channel and the communities that supply potential and existing members of staff can affect resources and capabilities of the organization, hence its strategy. Relationship with agencies and professional bodies, online discussion forums can have an impact over the organization is able to recruit. So employee markets, you need to focus on that thing because your employees matters a lot, because you need to have the proper skills and capabilities. Then we are going to talk about what? Influence markets. Now what do you mean by influence markets then? Whether it is media, city analysts, lenders or opinion leaders in a particular field, this group also influence the strategic planning process. So what do you mean by that thing? Strategic planning process. What do you mean by that thing? So that means these opinion leaders or opinion formers or city analysts or lenders, they will be able to have a good impact or positive or negative impact in your strategic planning, because they will provide the society with negative or positive word of mouth. Then last thing is what we are going to have here. It's about the customer markets. Now why the customer markets is in the middle right now? Now we talked about internal markets, we talked about referral markets, we talked about influence markets, then we talked about supply and alliance markets, then we talked about what? We talked about customer markets. Why the customer markets are in the middle? Any idea about that? Because we do all these things for what? All these things for what? To give or provide a proper customer value proposition or a value proposition for our customers. So you need to keep the customers at the heart. So in some place we say customer is the king, and so that's why in order to practice market orientation, we need to practice customer centricity. Customer has to be in the center. So in that case, you need to provide customer value by managing these all stakeholders, right? So now I can remember some phrase. It's about something to make you smile throughout the schools. Now I have gone to some place, like I can remember, yes, I have gone to some place, a clothes shop. Then in the clothes shop, they have said, like behind the cashier there was a wording behind the cashier. They say customer is the king and king never bargains. They were having that word behind the cashier. Customer is the king and king never bargains. So that made me smile and laugh, and I showed that thing, and I've told my students as well and everyone. Customer is the king and king never bargains. So those are not in the books. That's a common sense. Knowing the basics, right? So we know now about the flow. I'll talk about the flow. We know who are stakeholders. We know types of stakeholders right now, and we know about 6 market framework. Why it is used now, the 6 market framework? In order to manage stakeholders and provide customer with the value. And you can remember what? Customer is the king, king never bargains. So we talked about that thing. Now we are going to come to something else. That's about customer versus consumer. What is this? Customer versus consumer. Knowing the basics. Customer versus consumer. In the left hand side of your slide in the screen, you can see now what? Servers and racks. Servers and racks. On the right hand side of the slide, you can see a person is eating a burger, right? Now, person is eating a burger in that side, right? So in that case, who's the consumer, who's the customer? Now, for an example, let's say in the left hand side, you will be having this servers and racks. Now let's say for example there's an internet service provider who's in your country whom provides services to you, and you are being their customer, and this organization and their employees are using these servers and racks on behalf of you and providing you with the internet. So you are the consumer of internet by using these things, but who's the customer? That organization. We can see these things in maybe in B2B and B2C scenarios as well, but in here we talk about a B2B scenarios. Now ISP or the internet service provider has been the customer and you have been the consumer. Now let's look into the other picture which is on the right hand side. It's about what? It's about a person who's eating a burger. Now in that case, let's be hypothetical. So this person has bought a burger from the burger hut or maybe the burger store in his town, and he has paid that thing and he is consuming that thing as he is having some, he was hungry. So that's about he's consuming that thing. In that case, he is the consumer of that thing, right? Now I'll tell you another example. So I can remember when I was a child, maybe when I was 5 years or 6 years old, I wanted a bumper truck, right? I wanted a bumper truck. Then I didn't have money. That's a 5 years or 6 years or 6-year-old kid. I didn't have money. So in that case, so what I have done was like, I told my Dad, I need a bumper truck. So in that toy store, it's there. I have went there and I've seen that thing. I love bumper truck. I need that thing. So how can I get that? Then Dad told me, okay, you need to pass something in your examinations when it comes to this. Maybe I can't remember. You need to get through something. Then I have done that thing. Then he has bought me a bumper truck for the shop. Let's say it's about the toy shop. My dad was what? The customer. And me, it's about whom? Consumer, right? You got that point. My dad was the customer there. I was the consumer there for that bumper truck when I was a kid, right? Now I hope that now you know the difference between the customer and consumer, but you need to know the basics again. Okay, let's look at right now how customer and consumer what differentiates themselves. So we talked about some examples, of course. Now I'm telling you these examples because of what? Because with the examples it will be very easy for you to understand these things. So that's why I'm providing you with examples for customer versus consumer, as well as throughout this whole lessons I'll be providing you with examples, and I'll be providing with stories and all that thing as well, right? Okay, now let's look at when it comes to customer versus consumer, how they differ. Anything in your mind? You can think about that thing. Okay, so this is the slide for that thing. You can see the basis for comparison is there. It's about the meaning. Then basis for comparison, it's about meaning. When it comes to customer, the purchaser of the goods or service is known as the customer. That means the purchaser of the goods or service known as the customer. So Dad has provided me, bought me a bumper truck, so he has paid that thing. So your organization is let's say buying some laptops for you all. So organization pays the price and you use it. Okay, then it's about consumer. It's about what? The end user of the goods and services is known as the consumer. End user of the goods, whom is going to whom are using your product. So those are the consumers, right? Then resale, it's about what? When it comes to customer, a customer can be a business entity who can purchase it for the purpose of resale. Now let's say for example we talk about authorized dealers and all that, right? let's talk about IBM, let's talk about Apple. So in countries we have authorized dealers for that thing, so they'll be purchasing from maybe from Apple. So they are not the they are one of the customers, but they are not the consumers. Consumers will be the end users of that thing. So consumers, it's about resell. No, consumers are not going to resell that thing. They will consume that thing and they will use that. Then what's about purchase of goods? Yeah, customer is going to purchase that thing, but consumer, no, not really. Because of what? Now, for an example, let's say you're working for your company and you have been given a laptop or maybe a mobile phone. Who's going to pay for that? Your company, right? Your organization. So in that case, not necessarily. Sometimes you need to pay apart from that thing, but not necessarily. What is the purpose then? For customer, when you say are buying a good or product or service, it's for resale or consumption for a customer. But for the consumer, it's about what? Consumption. He'll be using that thing. Then it's about, let's say for an example again, like someone has provided with like let's say someone is provided with some internet bandwidth or internet capacity of 5 GB, and someone is purchasing in bulk maybe 1000 GBs, and he is reselling that thing for other staff members maybe at a price. So in that case, what happens? It is for the consumption and the purpose for resale is there. The other one is what? The price of the product or service, it's about what? Paid by the customer, then may not be paid by the customer. Price of the product, in the sense like for the customer it has to be paid by the customer, but for the consumer may not be, not necessarily, right? May not be paid by the consumer. Then the other one is what? The person. So in that case, it can be an individual or an organization. So that's why I told you it can be either business to consumer or it can be either business to business. So that's about individual or an organization. Then what happens when it comes to person? It's about, for the consumer, it's about individual, family or group of people. For consumer, so it can be individual, family or group of people. Now in some cases for the organization also, they will be using their own things sometimes, like let's say for an example license. Now let's say software license for their laptops, so the company uses that thing, right? So that's about consuming. Sometimes you can justify it that way, sometimes you can justify it in another way as well. So that's with regard to customer versus consumer. Customer versus consumer. Know the basics. Okay, now we are going to talk about what? The roles and benefit. The role and benefit of internal communication. Now, we talked about, now in the class, the one of the learning outcomes was what? You will be knowing about how you're going to use your internal communication effectively, right? So what are the role and benefits of internal communication? Now, once you have internal communication inside your organization, that will help you to what? Foster marketing ethos throughout the organization. Now, by the use of internal communication, you will be able to have marketing orientation inside your organization. So it is a must that you need to have the customer-centric organization culture or marketing orientation culture inside your company. So that will be enabled through what? Internal communication. So that's a benefit and a role of internal communication. It's about what? Fostering marketing ethos throughout the organization. So that's a must for you. Then the other one is what? Clarifying corporate goals. How we are going to clarify corporate goals through internal communication? Now, if you are having good effective communications inside the organization, you will be able to know as a group or as a group of employees, all employees of the organization, what are my corporate goals of my group. So in that case, what is my responsibility in achieving that corporate goal. In achieving that corporate goal, that means now we are going to talk about marketing communications, right? Now, in order to develop marketing communication objectives, you need to know about the corporate objectives, corporate goals. Now, in par with that, you'll be developing your what? Marketing communication goals. So if you don't know the communication goals or if you don't know the corporate goals of your company, you will be developing some unsuitable marketing communication objectives where what? So the company is going somewhere else with corporate goals and you are communicating something else as your company, the communication or marketing communication goals not is in par with the corporate goals. So you need to know the corporate goals. So that is enabled by what? The effective internal communication. Without internal communication, how can we get to know the corporate goals? Know the basics. Right. Then providing clear sense of purpose and direction. Now, right, I have told you about what you need to know about the corporate goals and you need to know about the marketing communication goals, and just setting up marketing communication goals in par with the corporate goals, right? So since we know about the corporate goal, that provides you with a good or focused smart objective for marketing communication, and that provides you with what? Clear sense of purpose and direction. Now you need to have a clear sense of purpose and direction, but that comes through what? The internal communication. Now once you have good effective internal communication, that provides you with the employee what is expected with him, so he knows what is my purpose, what is my direction. So it leads to what? Self-directed individuals who's going in par with the company's objective. So internal communication is very powerful. So you need to know the basics well, right? So it's about what? Then again, empowering and supporting staff to take decisions. Empowering and support staff to take decisions. I can remember in some of the organizations, it has been stated that the frontline staff are authorized to make or solve customer problems up to $500 US. So because they are having the customer centric mechanism inside the organization, I'm not mentioning that organization right now because it's about 5 years back I know this stuff. So they have empowered the frontline staff to take about up to $500 US to solve a customer problem. So that means like customers service has been very prominent. So in order to provide the customer service through internal communication, the employees have been given a chance, that employees have been like made aware of what are the roles and responsibilities of them and what are the authority levels they can go and how fast they can make decisions, who's making what decision, how quick we can make the decisions, and they are well aware of what their responsibilities and their accountabilities. Then they take decisions because of that thing, effective decisions, smart decisions. Why? They have effective internal communication inside the organization. Now let's say the other one, it's about what? Recognizing employees who deliver excellent services. So throughout this internal communication, these politics in the organization are going down, and if you have internal communication, effective internal communication inside the organization, that means like it's very transparent, that two-way communication is there. It's about top to bottom and bottom to top. In some organization we see only top to bottom is coming, but in organizations who's having internal communications effectively, you have two-way communication and smooth communications properly. So in that case, they will be able to have recognized employees who deliver excellent services. So they will be having key performance indicators set for them previously, and they will be measuring that thing so that conflicts will be gone down, that will be reduced. So that's about the roles and benefits of internal communication, and I need to tell you more about that thing as well. So let's see in the other slide what's there. It's about what? Help top management to aware of their own limited perspective of the company activities. Now top management will get to know, because it's top to bottom and bottom to top communication. Okay, what are the operational level issues we are currently having in the organization? Then what is the skill level of employees? What are the capabilities of this company? Then what are the resources we have? And what are our future plans? So can we go ahead with this existing staff members for our future plans? Like that, we'll be having what? With the benefit of internal communication, helps the top management to what? Management to aware of their own limited perspective of the company's activities. So that's again a good benefit and a role of internal communication. Then other one is what? Encourage decentralized approach to the management. What do you mean by that? That means the organization, it's there, the organization will be there will be head office for that. So let's say the head office is somewhere in an urban area, whereas the branch network is everywhere. So in that case, the branch will be able to take their own decision in par with the company's vision and mission, but the decentralized approach will be there. The decentralized approach will be there. The branch will be able to take decisions, and branch know what? Okay, these are the level of authorities I have. So in that case, I'll operate in these terms, and I can make these decisions for the betterment of the company. Then the branch perform, because you can take fast decisions when it comes to decentralized approach, right? So that encourages decentralized approach of the management, because this internal communication is there. Because of the internal communication happens frequently, for the head office, the branch will be transparent, whereas for the branch, the head office directions will be transparent, so that it's easy for you to work. So it is a must that you need to have your internal communication inside the organization very effectively. What is the other one then? So it's about discourage silo mentality. What do you mean by silo mentality then? Can you remember, or I know that you have been exposed to teams, right? You have been in teams somewhere, maybe in relatives, maybe in school, maybe in college, maybe in university, maybe in your organization. You have been as a team, right? So we have seen some people out there who are willing to be alone, and they say, no matter what, I don't want to involve in troubles. So they say like that, right? So that's about, again, in an organization, if you have good internal communication, that discourages silo mentality. That means, like, if there is a person like that, it will be very hard for him to survive in that organization, because the organization, if it has a good internal communication, if it has a good internal communication, what do you mean by that? So you cannot not communicate. You cannot not communicate. You are discouraged if you are not communicating, and you will be what? Punched out sometimes. So in that case, that discourages silo mentality. What is the other one? It's about create cohesive teams and cross-functional teams. Create cohesive teams, right? And cross-functional teams. What do you mean by cross-functional teams means? So okay, we'll be having finance department, we'll be having procurement department, we'll be having the marketing department, we'll be having the HR department. I'll take one from finance, I'll take one from marketing, I'll take one from HR, I'll take one from research and development, and I'll make a cross-functional team. So under these cross-functional teams, what happens? I'll be knowing your priorities, you'll be knowing my priorities. So I'll be knowing what is the importance of your duty, what are your responsibilities and everything. So cross-functional teams will be encouraged under this internal communication. So that's there. Creates what? Cohesive teams as well as cross-functional teams in your organization. So it's about, again, what? one again, when it comes to internal communication, the benefits, it's about what? Marketing and other departments will have an understanding of each other's activities and priorities. That's why I told you right now. Now, marketing and each other departments, they will have their understanding of each other's activities and priorities, right? So that will be easy for them to work, because since they know the priorities, so that will be easy for them to work, because they won't be asking urgently. So you know about at what time they're busy and what time they are in urgent work and all that thing. So that's transparent for you. Okay, so that's about the internal communication, and now it's time for a question. It's now time for a question. Now, what is the question you have in here? You don't see a question here, but you can see a person who's going to announce something and demand something and all that. So that's there. Now, what is the question here? Now, question comes now. It's about what? Identify causes of organization's conflict. Now, how organization conflicts comes? Now, I'll tell you an example. Someone might say, though I have worked fine, though I have achieved 150% of my target, I have not been given my commission, whereas the person who has achieved 80% of the target, who has given a promotion and gone up. So that causes organizational conflict, right? But you need to know what causes that thing. Any ideas of that thing? Just think of that. Of course, I know that you can fast forward this thing and say that thing, but always brainstorm and think what causes organizational conflict according to your knowledge. One can be reward conflict. Why reward conflict comes? I have not been given a good reward, though I have achieved 100%, whereas a person whom have achieved 70% have what? Given the reward. So reward conflict can be one of the organizational conflicts. Right, now let's look at the other slide. So these are the conflicts, like causes of organizational conflicts. So one can be reward conflict. Why? I have explained you right now. That's about reward conflict. Then you will be having size conflict. What do you mean by size conflict? Size conflict. Now, for an example, let's say in finance department, you have about 4 staff who's managing the whole company's finance requirement, like financial activities. Whereas in the sales department, you will be having about 50 staff who's going around the field and doing sales. And they'll be saying, the finance will be saying, what? We are having 4 staff and you are telling us to run this whole work by this 4 staff, whereas the sales is having about 50 staff and you say it's not enough. So that's about what? A size conflict. So it's a known fact, right? In every organization, sometimes that occurs. Then there's something called technological conflict. What do you mean by technology conflict? Now, let's say for an example, you are going to implement a new enterprise resource planning system, or maybe a CRM system, customer relationship management system. So there will be people who are saying, okay, we don't have that equipment in our organization or in our division or in our section. So we don't have those things, whereas the marketing guys has given these tabs with fancy technologies, where we are not allowed to make use of these tabs and all that. They take high-tech equipment to use this newly implemented system. So there can be things like that. So that's about technological conflict. I'm giving you some examples for that. Then there will be goal conflicts. What do you mean by goal conflicts? Example again, let's say you have a planning division who plans the annual business plan. Now, it is a known fact in some organizations, they say the planning section, they just need to focus on this annual business plan. That is a one-off work. They will be taking about whole lot of 2 months, and they just develop a plan which is not validated by anyone. It is just a plan for organization to go on. So marketing people will be thinking like that sometimes, right? Not always, not me, not all marketing divisions. So I'm giving you some examples, right? Conflicts. So marketing will be thinking how to manage these sales, how to engage, how to make brand awareness, how to increase our market share and all that, and planning will be saying what market share you are talking about, it's about annual business plan, you need to give the priority and all that. So they have different goals, so they will be having goal conflicts as well. Then differentiation, it's about what? Okay, I differentiate as accounts, this is my scope of work, I'm not going to go any step ahead, this is my scope, I'm not going to put my hand into anything other, so I'm not going to help you, this is my scope, I'm done with that. So that's my differentiation. So the HR people will come, okay, this much of staff, that's it, you can't ask for these freelancers and all that, this is the staff allocation, that's my differentiation, this is my scope of work. So that's about what? Differentiation conflict. They are not going extra mile to serve, or flexibility is not there to serve the company. So that's again what? One of organization conflicts. Then we'll be talking about structures. So in some organizations you have different structures for for sections. Like let's say for a legal section you'll be having about lawyers, assistant lawyers, then you'll be having the management assistants, then you'll be having the chief legal officers and like that. So you'll be having hierarchical structure, whereas in the marketing department you'll be having a very flatter structure where you can talk to the director marketing directly. So that's it, right? So that's about the structure conflict. So they may be saying, the legal will be saying we are having hell of a lot structure levels to get the approval, whereas the marketing will be saying okay, we are having about flatter structure, we can make fast decisions, whereas the marketing department agreements being pending on legal department will have a direct impact in there sometimes, right? So that's about the causes of organizational conflicts, but make it a point that these are not only the facts that causes organizational conflicts, there can be hundreds and thousands of factors which what creates organization conflicts. So it's your duty to dig into online, dig into Google, dig into the books and check on these facts. What are the other factors which causes organization conflict? So we are clear with now, it's about reward is there, the size is there, technology is there, goal, differentiation and structure. These things will cause what? The organization conflict. Okay. So that's about that, the organization conflict. So now we are moving into the next slide. Right. Now we are going into the next slide. Now in that slide, what you have here, it's about marketing audit. Now why we do a marketing audit? No, let's forget about marketing audit. Why we do audit? Let's forget about marketing audit. Why we do an audit? To know exactly where the organization is standing at. It can be financial position of the organization, it can be the human resources position of the organization, it can be the staff levels of the organization, it can be the customer satisfaction of the organization, it can be the brand value of the organization. Likewise, we need to analyze what is the current status of the company. So in that case, we'll be talking about marketing audit. Now under marketing audit, you'll be having how many parts? You'll be having marketing environment audit, and it's about the external environment you are going to talk about. Then we'll be talking about marketing strategy audit, the strategy, the organization strategy, how it comes, what are the levels of strategies, and we'll be talking about that thing as well. Then we'll be talking about marketing organizations audit. So it's about the organization as a whole. Then we'll be talking about marketing systems audit. What about the systems you have in the organization? And we'll be talking about the marketing mix audit as well. Now, why we have these audit types? Now you have environment audit, then you will be having strategy audit, and you will be having organizations audit, then you will be having systems audit, and you will be having marketing mix audit. Why you need this much of audits for an organization? Why is that? Because you need to know where are you as an organization, what is your current status. If you don't know your current status, that means what? You do not know, you can't focus on what is your objective, that where you want to be. Like if you don't know where you stand right now, you are unable to make a smart objective to go towards your next level. Because if you are blindly setting up your objectives like where we want to be without knowing the answer for where are we right now, you are going to fail, right? So it's high tendency and it's very high risky if you take that decision without analyzing the audit. That's why it is very important that you need to analyze the environment or the organizations in these different dimensions of environment, strategy, organizations, systems, and marketing mix. So the first one is what? Marketing environment audit. And according to Wilson and Gilligan 2004, he says marketing audit has three purposes. He says marketing audit has three purposes. What is the first purpose? It's about identifying organizations' current market positioning. Now, what do you mean by this market positioning? Now, let's say for an example, how Google has been positioned in your mind. Google is somewhat like, okay, it is a prominent digital platform. That's how I think. Now, how it has been popular or how it has been positioned in the market. So it has been maybe positioned as for Google Analytics and algorithms. So that's a top company. Likewise. Now, once we talk about positioning, it can be under positioned, it can be over positioned, or it can be correctly positioned. So you need to know what your position is in par with the competition and in par with the industry. If your positioning is not in the correct position in consumer's mind or in the market, so it is very hard for you and it will have negative impact in your what? Brand value or the company or net worth of the company sometimes. Then in the coming lessons, we'll be talking about perceptual mapping as well. There's something called perceptual mapping. You can Google it and see what do you mean by perceptual mapping. So this perceptual mapping will be helpful for you to understand your current market position, right? Okay. Then the other one is what? Understand the opportunities and threats it faces in its environment. Now, you need to understand as a company, as an organization sometimes, understand the opportunities and threats it faces in its environment. Now, I'm like giving a chance, like in Active, we have published something called LiQWYD. So if you go to the LiQWYD, that is about digital magnet. So you can find in detail how we're going to categorize your opportunities and threats and what are the ways and means of getting and understanding these opportunities and threats in the environment. So make it a point to go to the digital magnet LiQWYD in Active LiQWYD. Then you'll be able to get a good understanding of these opportunities and threats with regard to an organization. Then lastly, as per Wilson and Gilligan, they say it's about clarify the ability to cope up with the demand in its environment. Now, I have told you like the top management should know with the internal communication what are the capabilities and the skill levels of my staff, my company, my organization. So they will be clarifying with some framework what is the ability to cope up with the demand in its environment. So how we are going to successful or how we are going to sustain and grow your business when sustain your business in this current market challenges. So this marketing environment audit will provide you the answer for that. What is the level of ability to cope up with the demand in its environment? So that's it with regard to marketing environment audit. So now we are going to talk about the strategy audit, marketing strategy audit. Now, for example, what do you mean by strategy? Strategy is the thing, or maybe is the way how organizations is going to achieve the stated objective, or how they are going to achieve their corporate goal. It is about not how the broad strategy you are going to talk about. It can be, if you are referring to ANSOF metrics, it can be market penetration, it can be market development, it can be new product development, or it can be related or unrelated diversification. So if you're coming to marketing communication, so we'll be talking about that thing in lesson 6. So we'll be talking about push, pull, and profiling strategies when it comes to the communication strategies. So now we need to know what is the strategy that suits my company. Is the current strategy suits the company or not? So we need to talk about that, and you need to analyze the strategy under the strategy audit. Now, how are we going to analyze that thing? So let's look into that right now. It's about the mission statement you are going to talk about. So now in the mission statement, now I really know that some of you can't even remember the mission statement of your company because of what? It's very lengthy. It's a very lengthy statement, right? Then what happens? It's just hanging on a wall. Very lengthy statement hanging on a wall, and employees do not have any idea about that. But it is a must that organizations do have to have a good mission statement, which employees are able to understand easily and remember easily. Now, once we talk about mission statements, is the currently statement clearly expressed in marketing oriented manner? So we need to think about that thing. Now let's say you have a mission statement for your company. Analyze that mission statement and see whether it is according to the marketing orientation manner. So if it is not, you need to make some adjustments for that thing. So if it is not marketing oriented, so it's very hard for you to go ahead with that company, right? Go ahead with the business operations. So that's it. Then we'll be talking about what? Marketing objectives and goals. So what do you mean by marketing objectives and goals? Now, it is about where you want to be. In the sense like what? What is our next level? By deploying this strategy, where are you going to be? So let's say it's about raising the brand awareness by 60% in 2021. So you can analyze this one. It's about what? Is this clearly focused in achieving corporate goals? Is it consistent with available resources? Now again, I'm repeating that thing again. Can you remember once we talk about the marketing communication goals I have talked to you about? It has to be in par with the corporate goals. That comes in here as well. That comes in here in handy right now. Now let's talk about marketing communication goals here. Marketing communication goals are coming from marketing objectives. Like let's say about marketing communication goals are coming from marketing goals, whereas marketing goals are coming from strategic goals. Strategic goals are coming from the corporate goals. So you need to have this cascading effect, and you need to set your objectives with corporate objectives. Then you will be analyzing your marketing communication objectives is in par with the corporate objectives through this marketing strategy audit. So you need to make sure that you know these things as well. Then we'll talk about strategy. It's about what? By the strategic options we have achieved by the strategic options, can we achieve the intended objective? Now I have talked to you about many objective methods when it comes to ANSOF. Then you'll be having imported generic strategies you'll be having. Then you'll be having push-pull profile strategies. By these strategies, can we achieve the intended objective? Are we going to use these all strategies or a mix of these strategies? Like let's say, what is the best mix? Likewise, are we going to have several strategic options? Likewise, we can analyze what is the current scenario of the strategic options, how they are working, are they working fine and all that. So if you know about the strategic audit completely, and if you have enough knowledge about that thing, you're set to go. Set to go in the sense, set to make objectives for your company. Now, since you know your capability, you are in the solid grounds. It's about what? Knowing the basics again. right? Okay, so that's about marketing strategy audit we have talked about here. Now let's go into some examples, right? Now as per Samsung, it says what? Our promise to perform responsibly as a leading global company. What is Samsung's mission statement? Our promise to perform responsibly as a leading global company. So that's by Samsung. So they need to what? Be a global leading company who delivers their what? Performance, and they need to act responsibly. Our promise to perform responsibly as a leading global company. That's by Samsung. So that mission statement is what? Short, clear, concise. Employees and everyone, customers, stakeholders can understand these things and they can remember that thing. So that's clear and concise, short and sweet. You're going to go ahead with that thing. So that's about world-renowned company or organization, that's Samsung. So what about Unilever? Samsung is in a different industry, whereas Unilever is in a different industry. Now let's see what is Unilever's mission statement right now. It's about what? Our purpose is to make sustainable living commonplace. Our purpose is to make sustainable living commonplace. So they talk about the consumer and sustainable living commonplace, common grounds, equality, and everything captures this message. Now, it is a very skillful job in how to make and fine-tune your mission statement and analyze your mission statement. In order to analyze your vision and mission statement, you can use Heil et al. Framework for analyzing this mission statement, where we'll be talking about that thing in detail in the coming slides, not the coming slides, in the coming lessons when it comes to mission statement. It's about what? Heil et al., that framework you can use to analyze your mission statement and check how it fits with customer-centric way. So we talked about now Samsung and we talked about Unilever. Okay. Now we are going to talk about marketing organization audit. Now you may be wondering why these audits and all that. It's very important to identify where you currently stand right now. Okay, so it's very important to know these facts. Now marketing organization audit, you have structure. First is the structure. It's about what? Is the current structure supports two-way communication? Now I have told you, you need, in order to have a good organization, internal collaboration and all that, you need to have this internal communication what? Lively inside your organization. Now in order to have internal communication inside your organization, you need to have a structure which supports that. You need to have a structure which supports that, right? Otherwise, if the structure doesn't support two-way communication, you can't take decisions and you really don't know who to report and you really don't know who's taking decisions and all that. So it's about what? You need to analyze your structure. Is it a flatter structure? Is it a metric structure you have? Is it a functional structure you have? So you need to analyze what? Is the current structure supports two-way communication? So how fast we can make decisions? Then you will be talking about systems. Is the system supports effectively and efficiently information flow? Now let's make it a point to talk about intranets. Let's say, how is your intranet that supports information flow? Is that the intranet is currently being uploaded with the latest coming trends of the company updates and all that? Do you have internal systems which can have some add-on applications like chatbots and all that thing? Is that encouraged to have what business meeting inside the intranet? So likewise, you need to analyze the systems of the organization. Does this support effective information flow? How about the email systems you are going to have? How many employees have email addresses? And how many employees have access to customer relationship management systems? Okay, that's about the systems of the organizations. Now let's talk about some systems called marketing information systems. So marketing information system, is it complex for you? Or is it a simple dashboard now you're having as marketing information system? So in that case, this marketing information system, it's very simple and it gives you the ability of forecasting and trending of new upcoming trends. So that will be easy for you to what? Look at that marketing dashboard and take decisions. So that's it, right? So you can, if your marketing information systems is very simple and effective, so that's it. So you need to analyze the capability and the information flow of the systems as well. Then we'll be talking about the style. Now once we talk about the style, it's about, is the existing leadership style encourage free flow of ideas? Now once it comes to your organization or my organization or any organization, there will be leadership styles, right? There can be bureaucratic leaderships, there can be charismatic leaderships, there can be collaborative leaderships, there can be friendly leaderships, and there can be flexible leaderships as well. Now, is this one supports and encourage free flow of information? Now, it doesn't mean like bureaucratic leadership is not always negative, because in some organizations, this bureaucratic leadership works. In some organizations, this bureaucratic leadership doesn't work, but we wanted to have what? Collaborative leadership. That's what we all like. So in that case, it is believed with facts that this collaborative leadership always triggers free flow of information. So that means like as an employee, I am going to my higher management and put my new idea or new innovative idea in front of them. They will be giving me a fair hearing. Okay, you are encouraged to do so. Yeah, you're doing great. Okay, we'll encourage you to do that, and we'll invest in your research and development where you can benefit the company after succeeding with that new product or new idea. That's one in some organizations, whereas in other organizations, they say what? In bureaucratic maybe, they say what? No, we don't value your idea, so we have some plans for that thing. No ideas can be valued at this time, maybe at a later time, but your idea is very stupid. I don't want that. Some leaders say like that, right? But as entrepreneurs, are we going to go behind? No. As entrepreneurs, you, as me, everyone wants to go ahead, right? So that we are talking about styles. That's what we have given you an example. Then we'll be talking about staff, right? Under staff, now we'll be talking about what? How is the mix of staff skills and capabilities? How's the mix of staff skills and capabilities? Now we need to know, once we are analyzing the staff, we need to know about what? How many number of staff I have, what experience levels they have, and what are the age categories do they represent, and what are the areas of expertise they have, as well as what are the qualifications they have, and what are the areas of industry experts they have. Likewise, you need to analyze the skills and capabilities with regard to qualifications, with regard to experience levels, with regard to adaptability, and with regard to change according to the what? Digital technologies and all that thing. So you'll be having many technologies which are coming to organizations, where the employees, if they are highly adaptable to technological changes, they will be able to sustain in the company, whereas the company will be sustaining in the future as well because of the employees. So that's about the staff. Now what comes to my mind when I'm talking about this structure, system, styles and staff? McKinsey's 7S framework. Now make it a point to go to internet online sources and check on McKinsey's 7S framework. So these are some parts of McKinsey's 7S framework, so that will help you in handy when understanding the marketing organization audit. Remember what? McKinsey's 7S framework. In the next slide, we'll be talking about marketing systems audit. Now, what do you mean by this marketing systems audit? Now, let's talk about that thing. Once we are going to talk about that thing at the first, we'll be talking about new product development. Now, once we talk about new product development, does the organization has their product pipeline planned for future? Now, that's one question, right? Now, we can ask, does your organization has your organization's product pipeline planned for the future. Now, it is a known fact that you need to have a product pipeline in your company, right? Now, if you are just planning your products like without a plan, so it will be very hard for you to sustain in this competition, right? So you need to have product pipeline like, okay, in 2021 what I'm going to launch, 22 what I'm going to launch by 2020, what are the products and services we are going to launch. Then we need to analyze how far or how simple or how complex is our new product development process. Now, in lesson 5 or 4, we'll be talking about new product development process, which is starting from idea generation, idea screening, commercialization, test marketing, and all that. We'll be talking about those steps. So how simple is your, or how complex is your new product development process? Now, in some organizations, it is stated like you need to get the product governance board approval, and it takes about 2 to 3 months, where once the approval comes, the technology will be obsolete. So you need to have a good transparent KPI set to analyze the new product development process performance. If you have a good efficient new product development process inside the organization, that means like you are highly competent, and you are going to your success rate is going to be very much higher when compared with the competition. And the other one is what? The marketing information system. So we talked about marketing information system in the last slide as well. It's about what? Is the organization's current MKIS or marketing information systems capable of analyzing trends and simple dashboard is there? So is it capable of analyzing simple dashboard? Now let's say, for example, since we talked about dashboard and analyzing trends, what is the capability or what is the ability of that system to get the input information from the customer touch points, from the employees, from the front desk, from the kiosk and everything? What is that system's capability to take all these inputs or internal information or the external information from those sources? So in that case, your marketing information systems need to have that capability of grabbing relevant information and interpreting them, finally analyzing trends and get it to a simple dashboard. So information is everywhere, so you need to take relevant, reliable, correct information. Okay, now we are going to talk about marketing planning system. So is the marketing planning system, like, is the system well defined and effective? The capacity is the capacity of revenue forecasting. Like, now let's say, for example, you are having a marketing planning system. What is the capacity of the system for revenue forecasting? So what is the revenue that you are going to get in the coming months or coming year, maybe next 5 years? Now, for an example, I can remember I have done an exercise right now. We know right now in our business what are the under COVID incident, COVID outbreak, what are the revenue losses that we are going to use, like what is the percentage and all that. Then I know now what is the revenue impact that I'm going to have from the sectors for my business entity. So once we have a whole picture, it represents about 11 to 15% of revenue decline impact. Whereas then I can plan my reactive or not the proactive strategies to capture that particular revenue chunk. So what I should focus on? The investment may be planning, investment portfolio planning, and improving customer engagement likewise. So we'll be talking about those things later. So that's about marketing systems audit. Now, in order to plan that thing, you need to know what is your current condition. So that's why it's very important. Now let's say about the marketing mix audit. Now I have told you, once I am starting this lesson, the module, the basics of marketing communication, we are only going to talk about what? One marketing mix element, that's promotions, out of these 7 P's. 7 P's, it's about product, price, place, promotion, people, process, physical evidence. Now we talk about promotional mix. Now in here,
we can audit the marketing mix as well. To start with, it's about what? Products and services. Now you need to answer this question. It's about what? How is your product portfolio compared to competition? Now compared to competition, what is your product portfolio? Now I have told you in lesson number 3 and lesson number 4, we'll be talking about BCG metrics. That's about Boston Consultancy Group metrics. That's a portfolio mapping tool. And you will be having some portfolio mapping tools as GE metrics. So you will be able to map your products into cash cows, or maybe to stars, maybe to problem child, maybe to dogs. Likewise, comparing on the relative market growth and relative market share. So likewise, you can do the BCG metrics for your competitor, and you can do it for yourself, and you can map then and then you can compare where your products and services are starting at, and you can then decide, okay, where I should improve a lot, on which products I want to concentrate, on which products I have to not to focus on. Likewise, we can categorize these products and services as well. Then under marketing mix audit, we have pricing. So are the pricing strategies appropriate? So are we in the correct pricing strategy? Now let's say, for an example, let's say you are just a laundry soap seller. So in that case, you have priced it very high. So that's an ordinary soap. So no one will buy your product. So in that case, you need to have correct pricing strategy when it comes to a pricing element of the marketing mix. Now for an example, let's say I do have this phone right with me right now. This phone, let's say this phone cost you around about, let's say $100 for you in normal market, whereas you can find it for $200 via digital platform. Will you buy that? No, you won't buy that. In digital platform, it is believed that you can go up to maybe $75 this one, right? So in that case, you need to have your pricing strategy correctly. It can be penetrative pricing it can be penetrative pricing strategy. It can be penetrative pricing strategy. It can be market skimming pricing strategy, or it can be perceptual pricing strategy, right? Likewise, we can have these pricing strategies as well. Maybe competitor parity. Likewise, so we'll be talking about pricing strategies and budgeting methods in the lesson 2. Then it's about place. Now, how are we going to analyze this place activity, place element? So it's about what? How is your distribution network and the effectiveness of the distribution network? Now, in that case, you might be arguing with me, now the place factor is no more because of the digital platforms are there. No. Digital platforms are there, but you need to know in these digital platforms where I want to make available my products. You are not going to make available your all products in all digital platforms sometimes, right? Because now let's say, for example, you have a Rolex watch, or maybe you have a Tiger watch, or maybe an Omega watch for you, which is of premium price, at a retail shop, like retail digital platform which sells not premium items. So that will be harmful for your brand. So in that case, you need to be selective once you make available your products in digital platforms as well. So you need to have your place strategy or the distribution strategy well planned, and you need to analyze your current distribution strategy as well. Then the other one is the promotional mix elements, right? Now, is your organization manage this communication mix effectively? Now we talked about advertising, sales promotions, direct marketing, personal selling, public relations and sponsorships, digital marketing, and all that, right? Now it is not a must that you have to use everything, but you need to consider, and you need to concentrate on above the line advertisement, below the line advertisement, through the line advertisement, but you need to have a great mix of these communication mix element to deploy your strategy. If you don't have the correct mix of this communication mix, which we will be talking about when it comes to lesson number 6, so that means you need to answer that question: are we managing our communication mix effectively? So how's the brand awareness of your product? How's the top of the mind awareness of your product? What do you mean by top of the mind awareness of your product? Now let's say for an example, I'll ask you a question right now and you need to answer me that thing in 1 second. Name a soap brand. Name a car brand. Name a detergent powder brand. Name a perfume brand. So how you, now once you name a perfume brand, what comes to mind? That's channel for me, right? So likewise, you need to know that is what you mean by the top of the mind. That means like once it comes to the first, right? Now once you hear the word of like perfumes, I said it's about channel. So once it comes to motor car vehicles, I said it's about Audi, right? So that's my top of the mind awareness for that thing. So likewise, the market's top of the mind awareness, you need to plan through this what? Promotional mix. So that means like you need to have good idea about that thing as well. So that's about marketing mix audit, right? Now, now we are going to talk about factors implementing internal marketing. Now, what do you mean by this internal marketing? Now, it is a fact that the company has to be marketing oriented. That's true, right? You need to have marketing orientation inside the company so that customer is going to come to you and you are going to treat the customer. Now, what do you mean by this internal marketing then? Now, let's say for an example, you have HR there, you have marketing there, you have finance department there, you have legal department, you have research and development there. Now, let's say for an example, HR department and the marketing department is there. Now, the HR department is going to treat marketing department as a customer and the marketing department is going to treat HR department as a customer. So, that is what you mean by internal marketing. I'll explain you again. Now, how the HR department is going to treat marketing department as a customer. Now, let's say for example, marketing department is going to run a campaign on December for Christmas. So, in that case, marketing department informs HR department, okay, I need about 30 freelance employees on contract basis for this campaign period. They request that thing. Then HR department says, okay, HR department identifies, okay, that's a genuine request from marketing department, so I need to accommodate that thing and I need to provide this staff by end of this month, so that HR department will provide marketing department with 30 staff. So that is what HR department has considered marketing department as a customer, internal customer. Whereas again, what happens? Now, HR department requests from the marketing department, please send us the progress of these employees and the value they have generated for the company, how the brand value has been increased. Now, the marketing department says, okay, HR is requesting that thing urgently because they need that thing timely. So, the marketing department will prepare that report and they will provide that to the HR department, so that marketing department considers HR department's genuine request as a customer. So in that case, marketing department considers HR as a customer. So that's about what, vice versa, for the mutual understanding and mutual benefit, they treat them thing as customers. Same with the finance, same with the R&D, same with the procurement. So that is how the internal marketing practice inside the organization. Now we are going to talk about what? Factors implementing internal marketing. Now, you need to have internal customer segmentation. It is a known fact that in organizations, you will be having chief officers, you will be having CEOs, you will be having managing directors, you will be having general managers, you will be having deputy general managers, you will be having operational managers, you will be having operational level employees. So, you can segment these internal customers, and all details are not needed. The details are not the same for all customer segments. For all customer segments. Now, let's say information which will be needing by the higher management is not as the operational level employee. Then again, what is the second point? It's about building supportive working relationships, right? You need, now once you are going to talk about internal marketing inside the organization, building supportive working relationship is a must. Now, it's about collaborative working. We talked about cross-functional relationships as well. So, building supportive working relationships. So, everyone needs to support everyone. So, I have talked to you about the theory of HR and marketing. Everyone wants to support that thing as well. Then, the choice of internal communication tools has to be there. Now, that means like, let's say the notice board is going to work for one company, whereas the digital notice board will be suited for another company. So the choice of internal communication tools are there. Now let's say, for example, you are going to communicate through internal newsletters, and you are going to have the digital version of that thing, whereas some employees will be willing to have this tangible version of this newsletter, which is coming in the printed form, where they can show it to their friends and all that, whereas someone might like the digital format of that thing. Then the other one is what? The staff empowerment and involvement will be there. Now in that case, let's say the staff, I have told you in the internal communication that discourage silo mentality. So in that case, with this internal marketing, staff will be empowered to take decisions, as well as their involvement will be there. Now let's say, for an example, there's a new product development or new strategy direction for the company. So in that case, they will be given a chance to share their views on this strategy development. So in that case, that's about staff empowerment and involvement, right? Then there will be something called the training and development will be there, because we'll be understanding on what are the training requirements of that staff members, and what are the areas that we should develop for this staff network and all that thing. Then I can remember something like there was a saying in the internet, the CFO was asking, chief financial officer was asking from the CEO, that chief executive officer, training and development is very costly, and he asks what if they leave, if they after training and development, what if they leave? Then CEO says, without training and development, as dumb fellows, what if they stay in the company? So likewise, it is training and development is very important. If you treat your employees well with internal marketing, they won't leave you. So they will be brand ambassadors. We'll be talking about the employee branding as well when it comes to the other slides. Then recognition and rewards has to be there, because recognition and reward has to be there for the employees, because it can be the motivation for the employees to work. They have been given a fair hearing for their ideas and tap on the back like job well done. And once they have achieved the targets, you need to give them a reward. And in some companies, you may have seen the best employee of the month and all that. Then they have been given a chance to post their photo in the notice board, and everyone who's coming to the company will be able to see this is the best performer for the month and all that. So he'll be given the recognition. Then the other one is what? Performance measurement and feedback. So that will be transparent. There will be key performance indicators which has been set in the beginning of the year. So that will be transparent. Then you will be having quarterly measurement for that KPIs. Then that will be very transparent, and they will be able to have these proactive strategies to get them back on track. In some people, if they are doing well, they can improve that thing as well. Then they can maintain. So these are the factors that you need to keep in your mind while you are implementing the internal marketing. There's something called a question again, because you need to have this two-way communication in here. So I need you to focus on this question right now. Think of internal marketing tools of your organizations. Now, think of internal marketing communication tools of your organization. I would love if you can pause this video and think of that thing. Now, since we are running a premiere, you can't pause that thing. But once you're after the premiere, if you are watching this video, or if you are tuning into this course, you can always post this thing and you can answer this question. It's about what? Think of internal marketing communication tools of your organization. So make it a point to answer that question, and we are moving into the next slide. It's about what? These are the typical internal marketing tools of an organization. Then that doesn't mean what? These are not only the internal marketing communication tools available inside the organization, right? That's more than that. To start with, you'll be having meetings and briefings, right? So meetings can be your annual meetings you have, maybe monthly meetings you have. Now you'll be having for organizations sometimes monthly meetings where you are going to the head office and report. Then you'll be having weekly meetings at the branches, and you'll be having daily parades for your the subordinate staff. Then you'll be having briefings like on the things that you are requested to act upon, like briefings. And you'll be having reports and brochures and newsletters. I have told you about newsletters. So you'll be having reports like employee attendance report, there will be there, then the sales reports will be there, finance reports will be there, internal financial reports, the audit reports will be there. So these are internal marketing communication report tools in report formats. Then there will be brochures, right? Then there will be newsletters in the printed format as well as in the digital format. And so far also, in this digital era also, we are going to use these letters, memo notices as well, because we need to touch and feel those things in some organizations. And there will be emails, so email communication will be there. Then the other one is what? Video and web conferencing is there. Web conferencing is there, and collaboration tools, right? Now I need to elaborate some new learning for you. Now with this COVID, we have seen like in these collaboration tools, there's a huge traffic growth for these collaboration tools, that's surpassing 800% for that Zoom product collaborative tool. So to name some collaborative tools, the ones, it's about Zoom, Skype, uh, then Microsoft Teams, then maybe WhatsApp as well, collaboration tools. So their traffic have been like grown by more than 300% sometimes. So that's about COVID, but so that can be also used as internal marketing tool, as well as now with this work from home and learn from home concept, we talked about this Zoom and Microsoft Teams as internal marketing communication tools as well. And some organizations has developed, like telcos and digital service providers, they have initiated their own digital platforms for what? This internal marketing communication as these collaboration tools. Then the other one is what? One-to-one interviews will be there. So one-to-one interviews is also what? A typical internal communication tool, but it takes much of time and it needs physical presence of two persons in that case. But video and web conferencing will come in handy, and they will be eliminate the physical presence of that thing. But some organizations, they want to have this physical presence in there, so that will be valuable for them as well. Then the other one is what? The presentations and seminars. Now there will be some organizations which shares information through seminars as well as presentations, and in some organizations they go as podcasts, and in some organizations they go as webinars, right? So as a person who was into webinars, I have conducted maybe number of webinars for my customers as well as my students. So that's an internal marketing communication tool that is very useful to get engaged with them with the features and all that thing. So that's about typical marketing tools inside the organization. But again, make it a point, these are some of the tools. Then you can always go to online sources and other sources and find about new trending internal marketing tools as well. Now, what are the challenges? What are the challenges for internal communication? What are the challenges for internal communication in the world? Once we are going to implement this internal communication, what happens? What are the challenges that we have? Now, the globalization itself is a challenge. Why? Because in the world, we have a hell of a lot culturally and linguistically diverse people. So in that case, that maybe the time factor is different, cultures are different, that's diverse, and they speak many languages. So how to operate that thing? But Google Translate and other translators, what? They are having an app and all that thing, so that comes in handy. But we need to know we are dealing with humans, so we need to honor some cultures, because in some cultures the respectful way is the other way around for the other cultures. So there are something like that. So then we talked about the handshake was shake handing was the what a decent way. Then with the COVID, they say it's about like this, and you can't hug and all that. So that's about what globalization will be another fact, another challenge when it comes to internal communication. Then you'll be having the flatter structures. So flatter structure will be again a problem when it comes to internal communication, because now more staff will be reporting the same line manager. So that same line manager will be, finding it hard to concentrate and focus on the prioritized actions which has been expected from him. So the flatter structure is a challenge for internal communication.
And there's another thing, it's about what? Downsizing. Now, redundancies means that the staff who face bigger workloads. Now, once you are having mergers and acquisitions or downsizing of the internal communication, that I mean, some staff will be loaded with bigger workloads that they're I mean beyond their capacity sometimes. So in that case, it will be very hard for them. So downsizing is again a challenge for the internal communication. Now work from home, learn from home is a challenge for internal communication, because now when work from home, we really don't know what is the convenient time for us to talk and all that thing. They will be engaged with their personal activities as well. So they need to look after their family sometimes. So in that case, work from home will be a challenge and learn from home will be a challenge for internal communication. Now, make it a point to look at the ArcTube snippets. We have published something called 10 tips to what effectively work from home. I know that if you want to work from home, effectively use that thing. So if you use it effectively currently as we are doing, you use that effectively, that you will be able to succeed and you will be able to deliver best results under work from home. But it is again a challenge for internal communication when it comes to work from home. Right. Okay. And now let's look at it's about working collaboratively to meet customer needs. Now, something new. Now, we all know about branding, but in here we talk about employee branding. Now, what do you mean by this employee branding then? Anything you can remember, or if any guesses when it comes to employee branding? Why it is said as why it is stated as employee branding? Now it says it says for employee branding, this is the way employees represents the value of the company and is the result of successful employer branding and internal marketing communication. Now it's about what? Employee represents the value of the company and is the result of successful employer branding and internal marketing communications. It's sometimes referred to as living the brand, and the employees may be learned, and the employees may be termed as brand ambassadors. That is what I mean by like brand ambassadors for the company. Now, let's say I can remember a wording which has been said by Phil 2016. It says the key successful employee branding hinges upon an organization's ability to communicate desirable values and goals, as this helps to employers to identify the organization. This, this in turn prompts employees to speak positively about the organization and so influence the external stakeholders. That means for the organization, the employees comes as brand ambassadors. Now, let's say for example, your dream company to work is Google or maybe LinkedIn, maybe YouTube. Now, in that case, you'll be proudly going out and say, okay, hey there, friends, I'm working for YouTube and this is my t-shirt, this is my ID. And in LinkedIn also, we have seen some people saying, okay, I have got a great opportunity to join Amazon. Likewise, they will be having these things and they will be acting as brand ambassadors. So that is what you mean by employee branding. The employee branding comes as what? As a result of internal communication, like effective internal communication. Hope you can remember what I said. With regard to Phil's 2016 the statement. Now, employee branding and engagement happens because of what? Because of the reward. So employee will be rewarded, as well as the job satisfaction will be there for employees. Then what else? Then there will be technical and managerial support for the employees. Then job satisfaction, reward, technical and managerial support. Other one is what? Ethical and responsible employment practices. Now you don't have any politics in there, so you will be having ethical and responsible employment practices there. So that's provides good healthy environment for the employees to work. Then flexible working hours. Now in some organization it says you have to work 9 to 5, that's it. But in some organizations say it's okay, if you come at 7 you can leave it at 3, no problem. So flexible working hours are there. Then work from home will be there. Then the positive organization culture, that means like you've been involved and you feel like you are a part of the organization and your organization treats you well and the organization looks after you and the organization is not making you suffer, and they help you with the insurance cover and everything. So it's about employee branding, and it's about the benefits that the organization gives to the employee. I can remember some organizations was there, like they are providing their employees with the career path and the through education inside the organization to the level of doctoral studies, because now they will be focusing on company related activities, but they will be able to get the doctorate or the PhD, do the PhD in related to company activities. The employee will get the recognition of PhD and the doctorate, and his knowledge will be upgraded. By that knowledge, the company will be what benefited. So like that, there will be mutual benefit for the company as well as the employee. I need to have some examples from Virgin Trains. So Richard Branson's company from the Virgin Group, in working collaboratively to meet customer needs. This is about their statement. They say it's like this: we are committed to provide excellent customer service. Our staff, our staff are our most important asset and have the opportunity to make positive difference to your journey. At all times, we expect our staff to be smartly dressed and respond to passengers in an efficient, considerate, and courteous manner. We expect them to carry out their duties in a professional manner and to make every reasonable effort to deal effectively with customer problem on the spot. We all are aware, without you, our customers, we do not have a railway. Without you, our customers, we do not have a railway. Employees have been given the recognition, customers have been given the recognition, all together employee engagement working collaboratively to meet customer demand. Best example I ever seen from Virgin Trains. Okay. Keeping that in mind, we'll be talking about right now the extension of employee branding. What you see here right now in the slide. What is that leaf? It's a shamrock leaf. Now, this Charles Handy, a management philosopher, now he has developed some framework as an extension of employee branding in 1989, right? So, if we go into the details of this model, it says it says this management philosopher and the writer brought about what he called shamrock organization over 20 years ago, and he envisaged the workforce as divided into three parts of the shamrock leaf, right? So the first part is the professional core, or the core of essential executives and workers. Core of essential executives and workers. The second one is what? The contractual fringe. What do you mean by contractual fringe? That means which may include individuals who once worked for the organization but now supply services to it. Like it can be like right, suppliers, distributors, maybe logistic partners, like that. Then he talks about what? Then he talks about flexible labor force. That is what you mean by consultants or under temporary contract or temporary staff, something like that. Then the important thing is Handy added a fourth lucky leaf, which signifies the action of customers who participate in the production and delivery of the service or product. Now, he has added a fourth lucky leaf to show the customer involvement. For an example, we can tell you about like self-scanning supermarkets and self-service petrol stations and self-service bakery stations and all that. So that's about the professional core, contractual fringe, flexible labor force, customers as per Charles Handy 1989. So that's again an extension of employee branding. So that's about employer branding. Now we are coming into the latter part of our lesson number 1. That's about internal market cross-functional relationships. Now these are the sum-up questions for you. So you need to answer these questions, right? Okay. We'll pay our attention to the first question. It's about what? Explain the Scrams models in your words. Explain the Scrams model in your words. Not in my words, right? In your words, you need to explain the Scrams model, like who's the receiver, sender, how it goes, and all that. Then the other one is what? Who are stakeholders and what types of stakeholders are available? who are stakeholders and what types of stakeholders are available. Third one is what? Why organizations should carry out a marketing audit. Carry out a marketing audit. So that has to be there. So you know I have explained it amply. Then other one is what? Name 5 internal communication tools in your organization. So that's the fourth question. The last question is about define intranet. So these are some of questions. That means like if you can answer these questions, so you can have a summary of that thing. Then we are moving hurdle question. Why this hurdle question is there? I have told you like every lesson is going to have a hurdle question. Now, if you want to get through this lesson, if you have, if you have understood the lesson, you have to answer this a hurdle question. You have to have the capability of answering this hurdle question, right? Now, if you don't answer this hurdle question, it's very, it's not ethical to go for lesson number 2. Okay. Now, this is the hurdle question for you. Discuss how internal communication could encourage corporate working inside a business entity, supporting more effectively to me. Discuss how internal communication could encourage cooperative working inside the business entity, supporting more effectively to meet the demands of the online customer. So this is the hurdle question for you. At a glance, it's a big question for you, but I'll show you the structure right now because I need to show you the structure. This is not a spoon feeding YouTube video or post. So in that case, I'll show you the structure. So you can structure the answer like that and send us the answer to what? Our email address. This is about how to structure the answer. Now break the question into parts. Now it is a big question. So you need to break the question into parts and address these things. Then the second one is what? Under that thing, discuss how internal communications. Now, how internal communication. Now, let's say it's about emails you're going to talk about. Through emails, how it is going to impact on online customer demand. Likewise, then it says what? Okay, how? Then how could encourage cooperative working through emails? How it could encourage cooperative working? Then how it encourage cooperative working inside business entity? Then supporting more effectively to meet the demands of who? The online customer. Now let's go back again. Now let's say your internal communication tool is emails, or let's say intranet. Now how means what? How the internal communication tool operates through intranet. So you can say through intranet you will be having an add-on feature like internal chats. How could encourage cooperative working? You can have chat groups and from different departments inside the business entity, different departments representing different sections. So you will be able to cross refer, and you can share your ideas in the chat and support more effectively meet customer demands. There will be frontline officers who's facing customers. Then they will be raising questions. Okay, if there's a question like that, how can we answer? Is there a question like this? How can we answer? Then there will be a knowledge forum that they will be sharing knowledge. The technical team will be saying, okay, these are the capabilities, these are the benefits and all that thing. The finance will be saying, these are the financial structure, this is the pricing strategy and all that. Then everyone will be across the company, they will be having good understanding of the new product offering. And once the online customer comes to your place or comes to a digital platform through chatbot or any employee can answer the requirement of that customer and satisfy the customer with that thing. So that's how you explain that question. So that, but that is for one internal communication tool, but you'll be having more internal communication tool. Take about 3 internal communication tool, major ones, and explain these things. So that's the answer for the question. So write back to us on that question. Then again, we are going drilling down, and I need to know the practical application of this tool. So I have talked about practical application, how to encourage collaborative working inside. So I have told you about internal chats. Now you need to frame your focus on building awareness on online customer demand. So I have told the frontline officer will be telling you what he has experienced and all that thing. So you need to form the focus on online customer. Now it is not about the normal customer, online customer, you need to focus on that thing, right? The question is about that. Then how the internal communication tools help to raise the awareness on subject matter. Then I have told the cross-functional teams will be there, internal chat will be there through the internet, that will be working as an add-on. Likewise, then through raising awareness, how will impact facilitating online customer demand? I have told you about that. So everyone is aware about the online product and what their demands are. Once the customer comes, you can provide updated, correct, reliable information for the customer. Then the customer will be happy and they will be provided with the specific requirement and the need will be addressed. So that's it, right? Okay. Then we are coming into the end of this lesson. So this is the end of internal marketing, right? Now you need to answer the sum up questions as well as the hurdle question, and you know our email address. Now it has been displayed in our screen right now, and you can comment on our YouTube videos, and you can send us through our Facebook page. You can reach us through our LinkedIn page. You can reach us through our Instagram. You can reach us through our Twitter as well. So this is the end of internal marketing lesson number 1. So we'll be meeting you again with the lesson number 2, again with regard to the resources of how we're going to manage the resources of that thing, and make it a point to answer the hurdle question, because the hurdle question is a must. If you are unable to answer the hurdle question, we are there to support you, but make it a point that you need to answer the hurdle question to go ahead with lesson 2. Otherwise, it is of no use, right? So by keeping that in mind, so I hope that you have got the understanding of the basics of marketing communications when it comes to lesson number 1, internal marketing. Now let's practice it and answer the hurdle question till we meet again through lesson number 2, which will come soon. Lesson number 2, reiterate, refocus, and revisit, and again watch these videos again and again to make up your knowledge.
And build the foundation for you, and you can build your own castle on that. So your castle will be surely very much stronger. So that's it, and stronger, and you can prove your castle's adaptability as well. So that will be your competitive advantage. So let's know the basics again under lesson number 2. Till that, bye.